Kaijumon. The best character in the show, Kyle.
I mean, that's not hard when you set the bar incredibly low.
I quite like Kaijumon. Kaijumon has personality, Kaijumon has style, Kaijumon even has, like, adorable, like, little detail finishes. Like, he's wearing, like, a ship's riggings because, I don't know, like, he got tangled up in it at some point and they just figured leave it there, I guess.
I mean, it's on. You might as well just leave it, I suppose.
Exactly, like, it's there. Do you want to try and fucking untangle that from, like, Kaijumon? I didn't think so. Like, Kaijumon might like it. Kaijumon might have put it there for all you know.
You can tell the only part of this episode Arch actually liked is the last part. Oh, God.
Again, I like Kaijumon's design, okay? He's really fat, and he's got that enormous, like, flabby lower thing on its jaw, which just makes him look particularly derpy.
It's not very scary looking. He looks actually kind of retarded, but that's besides the
Yeah, but that's good. Like, Kaijumon looks unnervingly retarded, okay?
He's like, I'm big and I'm derpy looking. It's
like, he's
okay,
literally
dude.
the size of the castle head. How much does Kaijumon eat? Like, Kaijumon must ruin this kingdom on a weekly basis, surely. But
you know, that the amount of food they would intake would be quite a lot.
Kaijumon aside, adorable though he may be. So in this episode, the coup has happened, and Princess Rhaenyra is busy dumping a bloody fetus onto the floor. I can't show you that because it's literally YouTube would not appreciate it. But like this whole stupid season started with a retarded birth scene, and of course, so it's got to end with a retarded birth scene, where Rhaenyra denies all help and just like shits out this bloody, gooey, awful-looking fetus onto the cold stone floor of Dragonstone, and then just goes like, "Well, it's dead." Like, okay, moving on, I suppose.
That. By the way, that scene lasts not only like fucking 10 minutes, but it adds nothing. There is nothing of narrative value.
Honestly, up until that point.
There was like very little narrative value. Well, she gave birth prematurely. I think that's what they were trying to allude to in the show.
Yes, and the child was strangled by the umbilical cord wrapped around his neck, which I'm assuming is a metaphor for being dragged into war or something.
Yep, because 10 out of 10 writing, good stuff.
We also get introduced to the LED table of war, which is a nice touch, even though light doesn't, work that way. But hey, details. It looks cool, okay? It's fine.
They plug in the LED light. Like, what do you put in the fire underneath there? I don't know. Foot warmers.
Yeah. See, it was a nice little touch, if nothing else, okay? Yeah. Because Rhaenyra is... all of a sudden, Rhaenyra is like, I don't know if I want war, though. Really, Rhaenyra? I don't know if I wanted to be quit. Rhaenyra?
I'm super reserved. Oh my god.
You spent the entire first episode bitching about, I should be queen. Why doesn't he give it to me?
Yeah. But there's one thing we completely almost forgot, and I can't believe I was about to let that slip. So, fuck everyone who ever disagreed with us. We were right. The showrunners actually came out and said that yes, this is about anti-patriarchy to confirm our suspension.
Well done. But more specifically, it was last season's finale where Queen of
last episode
Driftwood thing bursts up through the floor, killing God only knows how many hundreds of civilians, and then refuses to roast the Hightower people and end the war immediately. And literally, no, one of the writers went out and said, no, she did that because they're both mothers in this world ruined by patriarchy. So, yeah.
Yep.
I also like...
There's actually a couple girl boss moments in this episode, too, anti-patriarchy ones that were pretty cringe.
They were. Like, they're giving each other glances like, you go, girl. Like, fine.
Oh,
I also...
so bad.
I like the fact that in that interview, they actually asked this director, woman, because they're, I suppose... It's like, but what about the civilians? Like, that's pretty mean, right? And she's like, they're civilians in Game of Thrones. Like, they don't count.
They're basically not even important. When the show doesn't acknowledge the fact that people have value or life in a way has value, even if it's a bleak or dark universe, then any death becomes meaningless in the show.
This is the inherent problem with feminist writings, because they don't go out to make a villain, like they don't have the intention to make a villain, but by writing these characters in the way that they do, in the way that they believe is empowering, they make them the villains. What you now have here is a character who hand-wavingly kills dozens of people by bursting her dragon specifically through the roof of the septum, where you know they're all gathered, and then chooses to not end the war that is going to kill thousands upon thousands more because she's like, well, you know, feminism. This makes you an ideological terrorist.
Exactly, because the thing is, she killed all those people for no reason. Their deaths were
She could have flown
meaningless.
out the other end. Like, we know the Dragon's Caves have other bloody exits. Like, what?
Yep.
They mentioned the Dragon Keepers. Like, how are they gonna stop that thing? Are they gonna wave their sticks at it?
They don't. They literally can't when the rider's on them. Like, they're fucked.
Yeah, she chose to do that. Oh, God. And again, the problem is, whenever feminist writers go on to make feminist characters, they invariably make them massive villains. But, again, Rhaenyra, right? She's suddenly like, I don't know if I want this. She's talking to her little son, like, listen, you know, I might look perfect and everything, and strong and powerful, and stretch herself off for a few minutes. But I don't know if I want this. Like, since first episode, she's been wanting nothing but this. She's been wanting respect for nothing. This entire goddamn show. Now, suddenly, she has a change of heart. Now, the problem is, it's been like 20 years since that period, and the show hasn't shown any of it, so I'm going to say suddenly she had a change of heart, because the show didn't tell me otherwise.
Yep. That's the problem with this show and its time skips. Like, it's like everything's supposed to come together for this big, like, climax of the war is gonna happen. Yet, you have this feeling of, I don't care. Like, I don't care about these characters. I don't care about the kid who dies in today's episode. Like, none of, like, I don't...
Spoilers.
Like, who are these people? Like, they're watching this goddamn review. It is goddamn spoilers here.
Yeah,
they're
going to that
get
part
up.
yet.
Yeah, we're going to. But that's my point, though. None of it matters. Like, did you particularly care? Were you sad about the guy with the eyebrow, the kid with the eyebrows dying? Were you like, oh no?
The only characters I care
eyebrows.
about are Kaijumon and One-Eyed Blonde Boy.
One-Eyed Blonde Boy. Oh god, we have to talk about him, but we'll get to him.
The problem is, like, the show, again, for the umpteenth time, the show is looking at Rhaenyra and going, look at her. Look at her, isn't she a good woman? Look at how competent she is. Look at how mean all the men are. The men are doing the right thing. The men are going like, okay, we gotta prepare for war. Like, we gotta send out messengers now before our enemies do, and we've gotta promise them shit. Like, we gotta bribe these bitches, because that's the reality of the situation. And she's like, no, don't do that. You're not gonna send out messages. You're not gonna send out anything. And so they wait, and so their enemies get the jump on them, directly leading to death of Browse Boy.
Yep, one of her youngest son dies, and which is funny because the show's not going to acknowledge this, by the way, because the writers are feminists as fuck. But the reason why he died was because they refused. She refused because she had a girl boss moment to let her advisors or Daemon handle the situation. She had to do it, and because she had to do it not only her way, but sit around and wait with a thumb up her ass and be like, I'm showing restraint in the face of usurpers taking my throne. You're showing idiot. You're being a fucking monkey. Like, you're sitting there twiddling your goddamn thumbs while those fuckers on your throne are sending out envoys, making deals and arrangements with these house lords, convincing them to throw you under the bus. Like, they already have the jump on you. You sat around twiddling your thumbs and moping about stuff. Like, oh, it's so annoying because she caused the young kid's death, which was completely unnecessary, by the way. But that doesn't matter.
His name
it's
is
just one of those things. Yeah, I don't know what his fucking name is. I can't remember these worthless ass characters. But the whole thing comes down to, like, none of this actually, like, matters because, like, the show doesn't acknowledge it. like, as far as the show's concerned, Rhaemon did the right thing, and everyone else was wrong. Despite her actions getting people killed and making things worse for themselves for the sake of conflict. Because we have to have that shock value.
And again, Rhaemon, like, first of all, the show's like, oh, she's changed now. Now she understands she doesn't necessarily need this. So, no, she's still the same spoiled-eyed fucking brat. She's done nothing to deserve this Lord of Storm's End's loyalty. She sends off a message, offers nothing, like, obey me, bitch.
Yeah, it was the dumbest fucking thing ever.
Yeah, and he takes it badly. Surprise, surprise.
He's like, listen, I like how she goes up to her son like, oh, you know, he likes princes. He'd be honored to have you. Shows up, he's not honored. He's annoyed that either one of them are there.
Yeah, because the king's envoy brought gifts. Like, it's retarded. Like, and again, the problem is the show doesn't acknowledge. Like, the show keeps going like, oh, there's totally intrigue going off the screen, and we just don't tell you. But this is what I mean. There should have been ploys around this already. There should have been, because Rhaemon is standing by the LED table and is apparently completely confused about who might be on her side or not. Really? This comes as a complete shock to everyone, does it? Oh, it's so dumb.
Yeah, it was, I don't... This episode kind of has the same problem with the other one. Number one, the overt feminist bullshit, and number two, the fucking fact that the writers don't seem to really care. Like, the show feels... I tried to describe it to Arch when we were watching it, but it feels very tired. Like, the show is tired of itself. Like, it's just going through the motions, and it doesn't really want to explain or build anything. It's like, this happened, and we're moving on to this point. It's like, okay.
It's going through the motions is a good way to explain it. Because, okay, then they send off Brow's boy, who has a constantly perturbed look on his face for good reasons, to Storm's End. And he arrives, and then you see Kaijumon, and already then you're like, yep, he's ass his grass.
He's dead. Like, it doesn't matter. Anything that else happens is a fake out. Like, it's all leading to his inevitable, shocking death, because George R. R. Martin is a one-trick pony. Yep. And we get to the inevitable, shocking death, and, you know, you're supposed to be like, oh my god, even the character just like, oh.
Exactly like you would expect, because there's a moment where he looks like he's gonna escape, then he breaks out above the clouds, and you're like, oh my god, he made it. And then Godzilla just goes, no.
Yum, yum, yum. And then it's like, okay. Like, I remember just having the most blank expression watching that scene, because there's nothing interesting about it. It's like, it's already happened, it's going through the motions of, like, the most corporate, like, build-up suspense moment with a twist at the end.
And the worst part is,
like, it's so soulless.
I actually like the conflict between the boys. Okay.
Yes.
Like, blonde-eyed boy, yes.
Blonde-eye boy.
One-eyed blonde boy. And this guy, they've got a history, right? It's been built up. We know they fucking hate each other. We know blonde-eyed boy, that's stuck in my head now, Blondimon. We know Blondimon doesn't like this kid. We know Blondimon bullies him whenever he can. We know the Brow's kid stabbed his fucking eye out with like a shard of glass or a knife or something earlier. Like, they have history. They have reasons to hate each other. And Blondimon wasn't going to kill him, because to Blondimon, following this guy on Kaijumon and bully him was just that. It was bullying. It was something he had done countless times before, and that was all it was to him. Just bullying. But then, Snackymon, the Brow's boy's dragon, decides to try and breathe fire in the face of Godzilla, and Godzilla takes that shit personally, and so, no. And Blondimon even has a look on his face afterwards, which is actually quite good, where he's just like, his face falls progressively more as he realizes the magnitude of his fuck up.
There's no peaceable solution now.
And not only is there no peaceable solution, but he's dishonored Storm's End because he killed him as a messenger. The Storm's End guy knows this. He's also now officially killed a messenger on a peaceful errand. He's declared war. He's made Rhaemon their enemy. Like, the amount of ways in which he has dropped the ball on this is uncountable. And yet,
committed wanton murder too. Like everything, every sin in the book, he committed at one act.
Yes.
And that's kind of funny. That's like the most interesting part of this episode, by the way, because this is like the implications of that scene are interesting. Problem is that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, the implications are massive, and again, it makes total sense for him to do this. It's been built up, it's been pre-planned, there is a good reason. Again, and once more, he didn't even want to kill him. Like, he's probably in shock because he's dead at that point, you know? Like, all that shit is good. The problem is, these are side characters.
Yep.
And the worst part is, we even know, I know exactly how Blondimon is gonna fucking get it. Blondimon is gonna get killed by the dragon that Daemon has now sung to and resurrected.
Yeah, was that like the King Dude's dragon or something?
It's not the Black Dread, because he's dead, but I think that is supposed to be that that other, like, oldest dragon. So he's massive. Was it a she? Because they mentioned this dragon in, like, episode 1 once, so, you know. It had a build-up of sorts. It's not just a completely random lizard that lived beneath his house that he's like, "Hello, hello," and the dragon's like, "Meow, nice, touch me." What is what dragons say? The boys' feud is actually kind of cool. The problem is the end to it is so abrupt. And the second thing that I have an issue with is that we really never got to see much of it at all. And the other issue I have with this scene in this episode is the execution was terrible. Like, I do want to point that out. The execution of this thing happening was about as cliche and about as, like, going through the motions as possible. It's the issue is too, it's shot in this Game of Thrones-y style, where not only is the screen dark as F, but it's filled with rain and clouds and stuff, and you're just sitting there like, I wish I could see the dragons fighting. Wouldn't that be neato Cheeto?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, this show just seems to drop the ball at every conceivable point it possibly can, even when it does have a moment of interest.
Like, at least it gives you the money shot at the end when Kaijumon comes out of the fucking balloon and goes, naff.
Yeah,
also,
but it's more like met with a sigh, though.
I will also point out another good thing was that what Browimon should have done is take his little dragon, Snackymon, and hide, because his only advantage over Godzilla is that he can, like, chill out in the crevices, because Godzilla will fly bigger, fly faster than him, he obviously can't win against him, etc, etc. But they can't do this because Snackymon is pissed off now, because Snackymon's like, "You big dragon, you bad dragon," and they kind of pointed this out earlier, where they say, well, our dragons haven't been to war. And so Snackymon was like, "Yeah, I'll totally kick your ass, Kaijumon," and it didn't happen.
Issue I again have with that whole thing is like it didn't really do anything to him yet, and he didn't lose control of his dragon until after it went out of there. Like, he should have just led low instead of just running into the dragon's mouth, which is a bit stupid. I don't know. The whole thing was kind of, it felt like it needed to happen because it was on the, like you mentioned while we were watching it, it feels like we're reading or we're watching the script unfold.
Oh yeah.
It's just like, oh, don't need emotions.
Perturbed boy Browimon needed to die, like he's the sacrificial lamb, and he's also, as you mentioned, he would have been the hero in a normal story, which means in a George R.R. Martin story he's meat.
Yeah, George R.R. Martin has this weird tendency to be like, I hate every story ever, so I'm gonna do everything but the opposite and have them die. And so they take the character who you'd normally expect to be like, oh, up and coming, you know, the underdog, and then he just gets killed.
Yep.
And you're kind of like, instead of it being like, oh, that's a unique twist, it's like, it's George R.R. Martin just, you know, following the motions of what he does.
It has gotten
just sort of,
eminently predictable at this point.
It's like shock for the sake of shock. The Red Wedding the first time around was shock. The Ned Eddard Stark thing happening, that was shock.
Eddard Stark was shock. Like, Eddard Stark was a well-executed George R.R. Martin moment. Like, it was a well-executed King That Walks trick. The Red Wedding, I don't agree, because that was telegraphed from 15 miles away in the book, too. Because the dog is like, they're evil, they're gonna kill you, they're evil.
I keep forgetting about the dog scene. But, like, the Eddard Stark thing was really good. The only problem with the Eddard Stark scene in the show was the fact that it was played by Sean Bean, which we all know what happened to Sean Bean.
Well, I wonder how you're gonna die now.
Which pisses me off, because Sean Bean's a fantastic actor, and I'm just really sick of him getting roles where he just dies off.
Yeah, ever since Lord of the Rings, he's that character now.
Like, can we just get Sean Bean that doesn't die for 5 minutes?
In fact, it would be an excellent subversion of expectations at this point.
Yeah, had Eddard Stark lived, I think I would have been even more shocked. I'd be like, "What? Sean Bean didn't die?"
Yep. Like, we need to completely recast oh god damn it, English. We need to remake Sharp. That's what we need to do. You haven't watched Sharp, have you?
What's Sharp? Fill me in. And for those in the audience that don't know,
Kyle.
See, that's how I spin it. I'm like, well, there are other people that don't know too, so obviously they need to be filled in.
Kyle.
So pretend I'm them and just explain it to me.
Kyle. What's wrong with you?
Just fucking tell me.
Okay, so Sharp was a series from like the mid-1990s about the Napoleonic War, mostly in Spain, following Major Richard Sharp. That's the name, played by Sean Bean. It's not a bad little show, actually. It's old as F, and it has many old as F issues, but it was actually kind of cool, and Sean Bean doesn't die in it, because, he's the main character. He can't really die.
Can't. Of course.
Yeah.
Well, at least he got to live for a change.
Yeah. But yeah, no, the Sharp was kind of cool. And now, of course, Rhaenyra is like, but they killed Braumon. How dare they? Kaijumon has gone too far this time. Also, I gotta point out too, because they bring this up while they're doing their little war council thing. Like, okay, who cares about men? Like, we've got more dragons, so surely we win, right? Kaijumon is like the size of 7 dragons. Like, surely Kaijumon is a problem, right? How deal with Kaijumon? And
Smackdown got eaten with one bite.
Exactly. Like, I'm guessing that's why Daemon went down underneath his house to resurrect the other lizard, because he might be at least on kind of par with Kaijumon.
Something in order to kill him.
I just hope they fight in the open next time, because I'm sick of not seeing what's going on screen.
Well, you know why that is, too. Like, they also do it for A, suspense, but B, because it's cheaper, because they can also not put as much effort in the CG.
Like, this is a Game of Thrones problem. Like, it was also the same with the Battle for Winterfell, which was shot just in pitch darkness the entire time. And hey, it led to that one cool scene where they were like, Mongolians, charge off into the darkness at top speed in the middle of the night, into the undead hordes, and then get eaten, as their little lights go away. And I'm looking at that, I was like, that's a neat scene. But at the same time, my mind is also racing by all of the ways this is an utterly retarded usage of light cavalry.
Alright, light cavalry, I want you to charge directly into the enemy's center. But sir, we're light cavalry. I don't care.
It's also dark as fuck. Like, half our horses will trip and break their legs before we even get there. Yeah, do it anyways.
And they ride out and they're like, and then they all just disappear.
Yeah.
See, this is the problem with a lot of fight scenes and battle scenes that are designed by people. They're like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if this character like did this? And it's like, yeah, but why? Like, the real question is, but why? Like, just ask that question, but why? But why would you do that? Like, why would you put your trebuchets outside in front of your castle? You fucking Muppets. Why not on the battlements, you morons? People are stupid. Man, I kind of feel bad for George R. R. Martin. Because, like, his legacy is one of disaster. No matter what happens now.
Well, I mean, if the glucoses pumping through his veins will finally allow him to finish that goddamn book, which he has had to rewrite from the start now because, the TV show kind of showed how terrible the ending was.
Yep, he realized that his ending was really bad, and so he's got to rewrite it. Honestly, I think at this point it's over for him. Like he was set out on a crusade to destroy, and like be like, Tolkien, I showed you, and now
And hey,
he is.
He did, Kyle. He did. House of the Dragons is better than Rings of Power.
Yeah, but that's not Lord of the Rings, is it?
Yes, it is.
See, that's called copium.
This is the
That's
point I will hold
goalpost.
over Carl's head for eternity now.
Yeah, but that's like Jeff Bezos.
We'll
made
be
that show.
72
Like,
sitting at the
Tolkien
old
made-
people's home, and I'll just poke him with my stick. And I remember that time when George R.R. Martin was better than Tolkien.
Oh, yeah, but Tolkien didn't make that show. Again,
Minor,
it falls into-
insignificant details. Kyle.
That's a major detail. Like, it would be
And then
one thing
Kyle
if
will
Tolkien
quibble,
was like,
and I'll just turn down my hearing aid and laugh.
you fucking queer. It'll meet you up. Oh, the old folks' home's gonna be violent.
And honestly, nothing else really happened this episode. Like, there was no further intrigue. We didn't get to see anything from the King's faction because, Blondimon needed to show up at Storm's End and be like, dun, 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 as he's revealed. Like,
He's
literally,
like, I've already made several promises.
literally, he turns around and, like, flows out his cape as thunder peals in the background.
It's like zap, and he's like, I'm the bad guy of this thing. Oh my god, you've reminded me. When he was chasing Big Eye, or like perpetually confused looking boy, like he cackles maniacally and
Yes.
evilly like 4 times, like and then it isn't until the end when he accidentally kills him, he's like, oh no, I think I fucked up a little bit.
Like when bullying goes too far.
But quickly, before we forget. So, the patriarchy moment. It was fucking beautiful. Oh, it was so cringe. So there's a scene in this goddamn episode where, what's that one girl's name? The Queen of Driftmark, or Princess of Driftmark? Where she looks at Rhaenyra and she smiles smirkly like, yeah, fuck the men. And then... then she goes and yells at her fucking husband. Oh my god, that was a beautiful scene.
Like,
It
you
made my
abandoned
spine
me.
crawl.
It's like, listen, woman, I am a black man. Yeah, I can't be around my children for too long. Don't take my channel,
It's
YouTube.
like-
I had to. Listen. If Cowboy Bebop, the fucking live action thing, can get away with that joke, I can. Screw you.
Actually, one thing that I actually like is Dread, the black guy, the dreadlock dude. I actually like his acting performance. I think it's pretty good. The other thing I liked is actually that his character actually did something of use. He wasn't just fucking off around nowhere. No, he actually secured that area permanently from the
Though
triarchy.
I like the fact that, okay,
Which we saw.
he's done what we told was impossible. There's no way you can fortify the Narrows. It's impossible. Then he goes and does it, and then he comes home, and his wife is like, where did you go? Where did you go off on an adventure without me?
And
All I have
the best
lost.
part is, the best part is his life is at stake. He's doing this all for them, and then she just rags on him.
Yes.
This is the problem with this show. Like, the women are always trying to be portrayed as like, oh, I can't believe you died on me. It's like, but I died.
Like he's lying in bed, he's poisoned, like his legs start working, and she's like, all I've sacrificed.
Oh, I sacrificed, and you can't even get it up anymore. It's like, woman, I'm paralyzed.
Oh god. Yeah, like it's see, it's goddamn annoying too, because he does have that charisma, he does have that gravitas, like he wears the role well. I just
The dreads, he needs to lose the dreads. I'm saying that now. I'm sorry. Those dreadlocks, every time I expect something, Arch and I were talking about
I
this.
hate
We
dreads.
expect something to reach out with claws and go.
like I'm sorry, but they just look dirty to me. Like one of his daughters has like just a pile of dreads on her head, and I feel like something's living in there. Like when she's standing next to a character, I expect a little hand to reach out from it and go like.
Yeah, exactly. Like something lives inside that.
Like it's too much. It's too much.
Fucking dreads. The dread thing is the. It doesn't even feel appropriate for like the cultural like style.
It really
of the people
doesn't.
that
Like
are
nobody else is wearing dreads. Like, it's not like the dreads the Valerian thing either. Like, it's... I don't know.
Just give him normal hair. I feel like that design decision was a mistake.
Yeah, the other sisters is pretty good. I don't like her. She's the closest we've seen to a real-life delicious brown girl. I'm okay with this.
Just lose the dreads, and I think we're golden.
Or at least let them down, like sweet Jesus. Like, I don't mind Chorus's dreads that much, because to me, it kind of makes him look like just like a refined statesman, honestly. Like, when he catches the right light and his obvious fucking wig made out of wool shines in the light a little bit, like, first and foremost, like, that's fake as shit, bruh. But secondly, it also makes him look, again, like a refined statesman.
Yeah, that's... Oh, goddamn. I really wish they ditched the girl boss moments, because if they did, and they stopped focusing on trying to make it empowering all the time, and anti-pregnancy and anti-patriarchy bullshit, I think that maybe the show could be actually okay. But it's just those ugly-ass fucking things they do that sour everything the show does. For me, at least. I don't know about anybody else.
Like,
it's annoying.
Take this prequel story shit, because that's what this is. Compact it down to 3-4 episodes, and I'd probably be far happier. And shift the focus onto the children much earlier, because I feel like they're supposed to be the main characters, and I give half a shit about at least one of those.
You know what the story kind of reminds me of? It feels like a Three Kingdoms story, doesn't it? Like, a little bit. Like, it's not really about the starting characters, it's actually about the heirs that are going to take over.
You shut your dirty hole. Cao Cao's great.
Firstly, he's Cao Cao. And secondly, Barge. Cao Cao is best girl. He's the only reason to watch that Three Kingdoms TV show. As soon as he disappears, it's time to turn it off.
Yes, the Three Kingdoms TV show it's not bad television, but boy does it drag whenever Cao Cao isn't on fucking scene.
Don't look at any of the fight scenes or battle scenes when the army dudes are running around, because, like, dude, I remember watching, there's they'll just, like, fall over occasionally and run in circles. Like, it's like, stop that. Stop. At least pretend you're fighting. Good lord, it's embarrassing to watch.
They do the spinsies.
They just literally spin into each other and occasionally randomly fall over.
No, Cao Cao is pretty cool. He can be in more TV shows just randomly.
Yeah, the actor's performance there was pretty good.
Oh yeah, he did very well. Everyone's watching now. It's like, what about Game of Thrones though? Yeah, but this other Chinese TV show from like the 1900s.
Yeah, but like Three Kingdoms is actually a pretty good TV show. Like, it's actually great. The build up to the Three Kingdoms incident with Cao Cao like cowering into Dong Zhao and telling other people various conflicting things, like, oh yes, we'll totally assassinate him. He's like, oh, I'm too scared to assassinate him, running away.
Yep, and that retarded scene where they give him an obvious bronze dagger and he cuts through like metal with it. Like, this is legendary Chinese blade. Like, oh, Jesus.
So, oh my god. Oh, strong.
You better not drop that thing. It's gonna head to the center of the earth. It slices its way through the floor like.
That's because the whole idea of like rare artifacts or of great power in the Three Kingdoms story.
Yeah, no, Cao Cao is pretty cool. Anyways, we've talked about two other shows that has nothing to do with Game of Thrones.
Listen, we can't help but recommend better TV. After all, we're looking out for the audience's interest here. Entertainment.
But now the season is over, and the season feels kind of pointless. Like, I suppose I enjoyed being introduced to Kaijumon, but now I'm like, maybe season 2 will be better. Maybe season 2, now that all this fucking stage setting is done, we can get to something interesting.
I think we're still coping. We're coping and seething.
We might.
Because the problem is, if a show hits off to a rocky start like this, it's not entirely impossible for it to actually get better the next season.
You shut up, Star Trek fanboy.
Yeah, because like TNG got better after like 2 seasons, and so maybe, like, who knows? Maybe things will get better, and then you'll look back at this and be like, yeah, the girl boss moments and the feminist stuff was a fucking cancer, but at least it got cool. Because at least now, for certain, the war's got to start now. Especially considering how much this show loves fucking time skips. Like, Christ almighty.
Yeah, the first 10 hours of this television show is pretty cringe, but then...
You watched 10 hours of show, and the show covers, what was it? Like fucking two decades almost of fucking time.
More, I think.
Like, fuck, like, show slow down, which is like, and 10 years later, it's like, oh!
Like,
I wouldn't mind.
Maybe the show would have been better if episode 1 begins like, this is Raymond, this is Daemon, and now, 20 years later, war starts. Like, you'd be a bit confused, but you'd be happy afterwards.
There's one final thing that I'm super sad about. The king's dead, and I actually really liked the king as an actor. His character wasn't very good, but his acting performance made up for the fact that the character wasn't that good. I'm ashamed. I want to know what other movies he's in, because like I like his voice. Very nice.
Wow. You can go at IMDb it and figure it out. Do it now.
I'm fat and lazy. Do it for me.
But there we are, the end of Game of Thrones, a thoroughly mediocre television show in my opinion, but maybe the future has something better in store. I suppose we have no choice but to wait and see. Prisoners as we are, the winds of time.